What's going on, everybody? It's GameUnboxingReviews here, and welcome back to another LEGO Marvel Avengers trailer analysis. Now, this video was obviously supposed to be released yesterday, and I do apologize for the delay, but I've had so much news coming out for LEGO Marvel Avengers. You know, I've been making notes, making sure I've got everything, because there's so much to cover. I just didn't have time to finish it all yesterday. I mean, I had to do planning all the trailer analysis, planning all the news update. The news update might even be split into two parts if I'm not careful. I mean, there's just so much to talk about, which is understandable. I mean, this game looks absolutely phenomenal. You know, from this trailer alone, it looks absolutely incredible, and it's so great to see them talking about what I've been going on about for months now. You know, what news websites haven't actually been talking about. The big things like Quicksilver super speed, Hulk super jumps, random crimes, different hub worlds, all that kind of stuff. Now that we finally know about it, it's great to be able to talk about it. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so what I've done with this trailer analysis is basically I've put things into different sections. So, first off, what we're going to be talking about is the hub worlds that they actually showed in the trailer. Then after that, we're going to move on to New York City, talk about what random crimes there are, what activities, all that good stuff, and then we're going to finally end on the characters, because this trailer showed a lot of characters that we didn't even know about. Alright, so first off we have Asgard. This is the first hub we're going to be talking about. Asgard is absolutely massive, in my opinion. I really wasn't expecting this to be big. I thought if they're going to do Asgard, it's going to be a very small version, because when they announced the other hub worlds, they were like, yes, you have other hub worlds, but please remember these are smaller. They are much smaller than New York City. New York City is the biggest area in the entire game, and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But these other hub worlds, they're not bad in any way. I love them. I'm really excited to run around Asgard. This looks like, you know, we'll probably never get a LEGO Thor game, you know, a game devoted to Thor and Asgardians and all that kind of stuff, which would still be cool. But this is as close as you're going to get, and this is as close as you're going to get to a really good Thor game, in my opinion. I mean, you can play as Thor and fly around Asgard doing missions for people. I think there might even be like dark elves or frost giants or something that spawn randomly. You just never know. I mean, that is really cool. The other hub worlds like this aren't going to have random crimes, but Stephen Sharple said there's kind of something else, kind of enemies might randomly spawn sort of thing. So I think we might see dark elves, frost giants, that kind of stuff. But yes, this is a very, very cool looking hub world, and it's going to be great for, you know, future role plays. You know, when you go see a new movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Phase 3 or Phase 4 or whatever, and it features Asgard, you can come home, play this, and, you know, try and recreate those moments. Like, for example, Hulk is going to be in Thor Ragnarok, apparently, so you could literally just do the Thor the Dark World missions in this main game, because that's how you unlock them. You unlock them by doing the movies. So once you do Thor the Dark World, you unlock Asgard. Then once you've done that, you could take Hulk to Asgard and just start playing with Hulk and Thor in Asgard. I mean, before the movie even comes out. That just sounds like so much fun. Next up we have Sokovia, and in this part of the trailer we of course see Quicksilver flying through this place. Now, one thing I want to mention about Sokovia, the really cool thing about this part of the trailer, is we can see one of the vehicle panels, and what I mean by that is you can go up to one of those panels and spawn in a vehicle. So for example, you could play as Coulson and fly around in Lola in Sokovia. Now this is brilliant news, because it means New York City isn't the only area that you can test out your vehicles, because in LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, one of the things that people really didn't like was that Oa was the only place that you could drive vehicles, and personally I wasn't really a fan of that either. Another thing which people didn't like in that game is that the areas, the hub worlds, were kind of dead. You know, there wasn't really any NPCs, there wasn't really any life to them. And here in Sokovia we can see there's actually people walking around and everything. This is going to be really cool, and I would imagine that they even speak to you. I'd imagine on Asgard there's probably Asgardians walking around and all that kind of stuff, and like I said, NPCs, you know, like enemies might randomly appear and everything. You just never know, but Sokovia looks great so far, and I'm looking forward to exploring it. Alright, so next up here, of course, we can see the South Africa hub world. Now, here's something interesting about this. So, obviously, this is the part of the movie where Ultron, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver meet Claw. And then after that is, of course, the place where Ultron, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver take on the Avengers. Now, this is all well and good, and it looks great, and I can't wait to explore it, but I think we've already seen the South Africa hub world. And what I mean by that is I think it's even bigger than what we're seeing right here, because basically, if you look at one of the trailers, and I'm bringing up some screenshots right right here, there's a part where you see Tony in the Mark 6 suiting up into the Mark 44. Now, Arthur has recently confirmed that you can suit up into the Hulkbuster in any Iron Man suit. I think you could even do it as Tony Stark. You don't have to have a certain suit. So if this was actually in the main story, then he would probably be wearing the Mark 43, suiting up into the Mark 44, aka the Hulkbuster. Another thing that's interesting is the way that Hulk jumps. The way that Hulk jumps to Tony is when he's in the Hulkbuster is actually the animation of when he super jumps. It's all very different, and if you look at the environment, it definitely looks like a closed-off area, not for fighting, for a hub world. Now, I could be entirely wrong, I really could, but honestly, I really do think this is a hub world. I think this is both South Africa, you know, at the docks, but also the area where Hulk and Hulkbuster had a fight. And honestly, I don't see them not putting that in, because imagine being able to recreate that fight in free roam. Yes, you can always replay the level where you actually get to do it, but imagine if you could make your own version of that fight. You could have Stan Buster fight Red Hulk, just all that kind of stuff. I think that's what we're going to be getting, and I think it's going to be awesome. Now, this is, of course, the S.H.I.E.L.D. base from the very beginning of Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and it's pretty cool to see this S.H.I.E.L.D. base because we really don't see it very much. We see it, like, for a few minutes, we see the interior, and then, you know, Loki escapes, and then it gets destroyed, and that's it. That's all we see in the film. But we actually get to explore this whole facility in the game, and I just think that's really cool. It's a nice way of letting us see more of what we didn't see in the movie. And of course, you can see a bunch of interiors and everything. We can probably go inside. If you look at some of the gameplay, which I'm going to be including in the news update, I'm going to be including in the description and stuff like that. If you look at some of the gameplay and things like that, you can see that there's actually no loading screen when you go inside an interior anymore. If you go into Malibu Mansion, there's no loading screen. You just walk in, you go upstairs, you go downstairs, you can do whatever you want. There's no loading screen. So I'd imagine, you know, those areas that we can see right here, we can probably just walk into them. That is really impressive. I mean, with LEGO Marvel Superheroes, you know, when you went into the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, you actually had a loading screen. And we probably have the same with the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier this time round, because, you know, you go down the elevator and then you go into the helicarrier, and it makes sense, and I like that, so that's fine with me. But the fact that you can just go into these buildings like this is amazing, and it probably applies for Avengers Tower as well. Now here, of course, we can see Barton Farm, and there's probably not much to say about this because we've already seen it so many times in screenshots, in gameplay, and all that kind of stuff. However, one thing that people have been asking me a lot of is, can you actually go in Clint's house? My guess is no. I mean, in every build of the game that I've seen in gameplay, in screenshots, and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't appear like you can actually go inside the building. However, you can actually go into the area where Nick Fury surprises Tony Stark, and they have a word, and Tony starts telling them what Scarlet Witch you know, did to him, what he saw the future, and all that kind of stuff, where the tractor was. You can actually go in there, and in some gameplay you can find online, there's actually a lever you pull, and then a bunch of Ultron bots appear. So you can actually go there and just fight waves of Ultron bots. So that's pretty cool, unless at the time maybe that was to do with a quest and it just wasn't finished, but it would still be really cool if you can literally just spawn a bunch of Ultron bots and then pull the lever down again when you get sick of them, you know, just unlimitedly spawning. Alright, so next up here, of course, we can see Malibu, and this is, of course, the Malibu Mansion. Now, there's a few reasons I love this hub world so much and why it's probably one of my most anticipated in this game. Number one, I'm a massive Iron Man fan. I absolutely love Iron Man, especially in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, he's just awesome. Number two, it's nothing like what I imagined. Nothing at all. It's way better. First off, when I heard Malibu was going to be a hub world in the game, I was like, yes, that's awesome. I was really excited. And two, I thought it's just going to be a small area. If anything, it'll just be the interior. You won't be able to fly outside or anything like that. They're not going to give us that. And I was completely wrong. For starters, when you actually come into this hub world for the first time, you don't actually, you know, just appear in his interior. Oh no, you actually land on the beach. So you can walk around all of Tony Stark's beach where the Malibu Mansion is. That is just so cool. And then you can walk up his drive, and then of course you can go inside the building. Now, like I've already stated, you know, the interior doesn't have a loading screen, which is just brilliant. But another great thing about this interior is when you walk in as Tony Stark, Friday actually greets you. She says, "Welcome home, boss." I mean, that's just so cool. Honestly, if she does that every time you enter, I will be so happy. I wouldn't care less. I would not get bored of Friday greeting me every time, because this is the definitive Iron Man experience. You get to play as Tony Stark, drive his fast cars, you have so many suits, you can live in Malibu Mansion, you can live in Avengers Tower, you can go fight random crimes. There's so much in this game. It's that big. I mean, really is, without a doubt, the definitive Iron Man experience. Another thing to mention about Malibu before we move on to the next thing is that it's really big. You know, you've got the upstairs, you've got the middle floor, and you've got the downstairs as well, which is the Hall of Armor. I haven't seen the upstairs yet. All I know is there's stairs leading up there, so that could be tiny for all I know. But if there's stairs, then I'd imagine you can actually go up there. But downstairs has the Hall of Armor, and it's really cool. And there'll be Amadeus Cho's down there, and he can give you a quest, and you'll probably unlock a character. Maybe you'll unlock him after you've done a few quests for that character. And then of course there's also the part in Iron Man 3 where he actually stands on the pad and then he does the suit up. They've actually left that there, so if you want to, because I know a lot of people were like, I just want to suit up when I actually go into Malibu, and I want to go onto the pad and actually do it instead of doing it at any time. You can do that. You can totally do that. You can be Tony and say to yourself, I'm not going to suit up until I get to the pad, which is just really cool. I think that's great. There's no prompt or anything like that. It's just a bit of fun, if you want to just walk onto the pad and then hold down triangle and then select a suit. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And last but not least of the other hub worlds, aside from New York City, of course, here we can see Detroit Steel Armor and Iron Patriot outside of Washington, D.C. This is a very cool looking hub world. I'm glad to see that Washington, D.C. made it into the game. I think, Civil War has a big part in, with Washington, D.C. I think that's a big part in the comics and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be really cool just playing as, Iron Man and Captain America and all the, the characters that are going to be in Civil War, and just playing it here. And especially if we're going to get a Captain America Civil War DLC pack. I mean, imagine just going to see the movie, coming home, downloading the DLC pack, and playing with all the different costumes and characters and all that kind of stuff in the Washington, D.C. hub world. I mean, that would just be so much fun. And, who knows, maybe that will be Spider-Man's big break. Maybe we'll finally get him in the game if he's in that DLC pack. We will just have to wait and see. Alright, so before we talk about the brand new characters that were featured in this trailer, we of course have to talk about the big hub, the very, very big one. It is of course Manhattan, New York City, the Big Apple, whatever you want to call it. It's the awesome New York City from LEGO Marvel Superheroes, but improved in every way. I mean, in every gameplay I've seen of this city, I don't know what it is, but it looks so much bigger. I don't know what they've done to it. I mean, it's the exact same city with just, added buildings like the Avengers Tower. They've taken away things like the Baxter Building, the Daily Bugle, the Oscorp Tower, Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, I think, as well, something like that. All of that kind of stuff has all been taken away, and yet it looks massive. I don't know what it is. It looks absolutely massive. I'm really impressed. Now, one thing I want to mention that Arthur has confirmed, there is no day or night cycle in this game, and there is no option to change the time of day, sadly. He said that actually does a lot on the memory. It wastes memory when you could have been adding something new, like a new character, a new vehicle, new ability, something like that. So, I would rather have more characters, vehicles, worlds to explore, etc., stuff like that, than have a different sky. That's perfectly fine with me. I can easily get used to this sky. I mean, I already like it. I actually think it's really cool. It suits the city. And besides, if you want nighttime, go to the Shield, the Shield base. If you want daytime, go to Sokovia. It's simple as that, really. There's tons of different times a day in different areas. There's no day or night cycle, though. Now, obviously, in this, hub world in the trailer, we saw tons of stuff. We saw War Machine doing a race, which looked really good. The flying mechanics look brilliant this time around. I mean, they look really cool. And they've kept it so when you're flying and you double tap X and you just keep flying, because in LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham they had this really annoying thing where when you were flying and you double tap X, you do the boost, but eventually it would stop. And you'd be like, why is it stopped? I just want to keep flying. And in LEGO Marvel Superheroes, it wasn't like that. If I double tap X with Iron Man, he would just shoot across the map. He would fly as fast as possible, and he wouldn't stop until I made him stop. And that's what I liked. So they've brought that back, which is really, really good, because I was worried they hadn't. So that's great. And then, of course, not just races. We've got side quests and all that kind of stuff, and collectibles. Just tons of great stuff. But I think the thing that caught everyone's eye was the random crimes. This is the thing we've all been waiting for, the thing I've been talking about for months. You know, people have been thinking, is he exaggerating when he talks about these? Is there going to be some sort of catch to it? No, not at all. They're exactly how I described them, and I'm so happy they are. They're better than I ever imagined. And it's a funny thing, because that seems to be the case with this game. Everything you imagine, they make it a billion times better. You know, the Lou Ferrigno thing, we haven't actually seen it yet. We haven't seen him turn into 70s Hulk, but it already sounds better than I even wrote it down. I mean, it really, really does. Now, with the random crimes, what I've noticed from gameplay and stuff like that is basically, when you do one of the random crimes, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You can fly past, you can be Iron Man, you could see someone being mugged, and you can stop and intervene, or you could just fly away. You don't have to intervene in any way. I think some of the random crimes have a little bit of a cutscene, just a citizen saying thank you for your help, that kind of thing, but I think most of them don't. I think it's just a random event that you can choose to help if you want to. And then basically, when you're flying around the city, Coulson will actually tell you, you know, crime in at 12 o'clock or something like that. He'll say that, and then you can go and stop that crime if you want to. And then once you've done that crime, he'll actually say, you know, you've done it, which I was thinking might get annoying, but actually, if you think about it, how else are you going to know that you've completed the random crime successfully? How else are you going to know when there's going to be a random crime? I mean, there's blips on the map, but I think it's cool. I like the idea of adding Coulson. And, you know, if it gets annoying, then they can always do what they did with Conan in LEGO Batman 3, because a lot of people didn't like how he was continuously talking over and over and over and over again. So they added the patch where he stopped talking. He only talks when you go up to them. So maybe, you know, if people get sick of Coulson talking all the time in the hub world in New York City, maybe they can just add an option to turn it off. You know, I'm sure they could do that. Alright, so last but not least, we're of course going to be talking about the brand new characters that were revealed in this trailer. And first up, if you look in the very top left, you can of course see Dum Dum Dugan, who is of course a playable character and is of the Howling Commandos, which is great. We can also see the guy behind Cap is actually Bucky, so you will get to play as Bucky. It's really cool. If you're a fan of that character, you're going to be very happy with the amount of ways you can play as Bucky. You can play as Bucky in his first Avenger outfit, you can play as him as, of course, the Winter Soldier, and you can even play as classic Bucky. The best way I can explain that is the Bucky design from Earth's Mightiest Heroes. At least that's what it looks like from what I can see. And also in front of him we can of course see Captain America. Now he's wearing the classic outfit, which I don't understand, and my guess is either, you know, maybe that's what they're going to use instead of making the first Avenger outfit. But I do remember that Arthur said that practically every suit Cap's worn in the films to date is in the game. You know, that he said that you get Captain America the First Avenger, the Avengers, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and Age of Ultron, and on top of that you also get a bunch. You get you get a bunch of unmasked Captain Americas as well, which is really cool. I think there's Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. There might be a Winter Soldier unmasked as well, but I haven't seen them all yet. But there is an unmasked Captain America variant, which is great. You also get Steve Rogers in his casual clothes with his awesome brown jacket and everything, which I'm so happy to see, because I really wanted a casual Captain America in the first game, so it's great to have him this time around. And you even get Captain America when he's at the gym in the first Avengers movie when he's training, and then Nick Fury comes in and, you know, briefs him about the mission and all that kind of stuff. Which brings me to my next thing. What's really cool about this game is when you get to that part in the game when Cap is training in the gym and he's having flashbacks. In the movie he's having flashbacks, and that's just part of the film. But in the game, when he's having the flashbacks, it actually takes you back, and you get to play through missions in World War II. So you get to play as Cap and Bucky and Dum Dum Dugan and all those Howling Commandos. Well, I'm not sure about all of them, but I do know that the Howling Commandos feature in the game, which is great. And yes, that is actually part of the story. So we do know you can play through Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, but Captain America the First Avenger is actually part of the main story. That is really, really cool. I'm very impressed that they've actually done that. It's a nice way to tie it all together. And there could very well be more because, you know, since it's part of the main story, that might mean that there's more Captain America the First Avenger levels. So there may very well be more levels for Captain America the First Avenger than any other movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in this game, aside from, of course, Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. So that's pretty cool. Now here, of course, we can see the new Avengers, War Machine, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and Falcon looking absolutely incredible. I mean, that design is amazing. They're dead on, you know, they've absolutely nailed it. And the fact that his wings only pop out when you're flying, it's genius, absolute genius. Now then, if you slow down the trailer at the right time, at this part of the trailer, you'll actually see Captain America and Black Widow's hands. Now, what that means is this is the part of the trailer, obviously, where they meet the new Avengers. But in that part of the movie, they're actually in the new Avengers facility, which we can't see here. They're actually in New York City. I think they're in a car park or something. I'm not entirely sure. So either that's what we're getting, or at the time, maybe the new Avengers facility interior wasn't finished, or maybe it's not even in the game, we just don't know. But what's interesting about that is the new Avengers facility is actually in New York City in the game. My guess is what they've done is they've replaced the X Mansion with the new Avengers facility. And another thing I think is, if you remember Avengers Mansion from LEGO Marvel Superheroes, you couldn't go inside it, it was just there, it just looked cool. So maybe they've done the same with new Avengers facility, it's there, but you can't go inside it. Another thing to mention is Scarlet Witch and Falcon aren't wearing their suits from the end of the movie. My guess is what they've done is basically Scarlet Witch's suit changes a little bit. If you look at the end of Age of Ultron, then you look at Civil War, it's kind of similar, but it's also kind of different. So what they've probably been told to do is put her new costume in a Civil War DLC pack. And then with Falcon, his outfit from the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, and Civil War is the same. So what they've probably done for him as well is put his new suit in a Civil War DLC pack. And it's probably the same for War Machine. I mean, yeah, it's probably the same for all of them. So if you're hoping to see the new Avengers new costumes, I would imagine they'd be in a Captain America Civil War DLC pack. But you know, we will just have to wait and see. Here we get our first in-game look at Wasp in LEGO Marvel's Avengers, and she has the exact same costume from LEGO Marvel Superheroes, which is great because I love that design, so no issues there. But one thing I did notice in this trailer is that when she's flying around, she's actually normal size. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what does that matter? Well, basically, in LEGO Marvel Superheroes, if you remember, as soon as you started flying as Janet, she would shrink. But in this, she's flying normal size. So my guess is they've really allowed you to customize how you want to play now. So if you want to fly around as Janet normal size, you can do that. If you want to fly around as Janet shrunk, you can do that as well. That's my guess, at least. And of course, you know, like I said before, since Wasp is in the game, there is no way whatsoever that Ant-Man is in this game. Ant-Man has to be in this game if Wasp is, and I can't wait to see what he can do. Here we can of course see Moon Knight and A-Bomb. Yes, A-Bomb is in the game, which is really great to see. I was really hoping for him to return because I really like playing as him in LEGO Marvel Superheroes. I know it was a DLC pack, but he's a fun character to play as. Now, two things to mention. One, Moon Knight. What you can see there, Moon Knight is holding something. Moon Knight wields a truncheon, which basically what that is, it can apparently be modified into nunchucks and silver darts shaped like crescent moons. That's what I've heard, and you know, after I've done some research and stuff like that. So if it can do that in game, it's pretty cool. And clearly, since he's using a weapon, they've really improved Moon Knight this time round. I mean, remember I've said several times I really don't like playing as Moon Knight in LEGO Marvel. I just think he's kind of useless. He doesn't really do anything. This time round, I'm really excited about playing as him. He even has his own vehicle. I mean, it's awesome. Now then, aside from, of course, Moon Knight's abilities, we can also see A-Bomb is in, you know, his A-Bomb form. But I did actually ask Arthur Parsons, because I know some people were wondering, and me included, can he transform into Rick Jones? Yes! Yes, he of course can transform into Rick Jones at any time in the game. So there you go. So for those of you who are fans of A-Bomb, you can play as Rick Jones and A-Bomb and jump around the city to your heart's content, which is just going to be amazing. Here we can see Vision and Gorilla Girl in the throne room in Asgard. Yes, you can actually go in the throne room when you're on Asgard, which is awesome. I can't wait to make Loki the rightful king of Asgard. Now then, with Gorilla Girl, one thing I think people who are fans of this character might be wondering is, can she transform as well? Yes, she can. She can transform into Fanbula Eddie, so you will actually be able to play as Gorilla Girl in human form. And there was some gameplay released online, I can't remember when, but it was quite a while ago, and it did actually show us a quick look at her in human form, and she looks awesome. She has such a cool looking minifigure. I mean, I can't wait to play as Gorilla Girl. She's actually one of my favourite big figures that I've seen so far. I mean, just running around the city as a giant gorilla, it just looks awesome. I can't wait. Here we can of course see two characters outside Barton Farm, and it is of course Detroit Steel Armor and Diamondback. Now we already know quite a bit about Detroit Steel Armor, but this is our first in-game look at Diamondback, and I did talk about Diamondback in the previous video, one of the previous videos. I think it was before the DLC one. So if you want to know more about Diamondback and what she can do in the game, definitely check that out. They aren't confirmation on what she can do, but in the comics and if you research online what she can do, it gives you a rough idea of what her abilities might be in the game. And they are pretty cool. I mean, she doesn't have any powers or anything like that, but she's still pretty cool. Now here, of course, we can see White Tiger, and this is a character I totally wasn't expecting to see in the game, so it's really cool to see White Tiger in LEGO Marvel's Avengers. And you can also get her friend, so you can play as Luke Cage as well, and there isn't any gameplay of him online. He isn't in a trailer, he isn't in a screenshot, but Nova is in the game as well. There's actually, I'll be talking about that in the next video, but I'll give you that. Yes, Nova is in the game, so for those of you who are fans of Nova, there you go. And it's not Richard Rider, it's actually Sam Alexander, but still, pretty cool. Here we can see a brand new character revealed in the trailer. We can of course see a character chasing after someone who's stolen someone's handbag, and this character is called Lightspeed. Now, I didn't really know much about Lightspeed, so I did a bit of research, and basically from what I found out, she has the ability to fly at high supersonic speeds, and when she does that, it actually leaves behind her a rainbow-like trail, so that's interesting. And she also has superhuman stamina and reflexes, so she's probably going to be quite a strong and fast character, so it's pretty cool. And I just love how there's so many superheroes and things to take down random crimes. I mean, LEGO Marvel superheroes, that was really the only thing I felt was missing from the open world for me personally. I just wanted to have crimes always going on that I could stop, because I just felt that the world kind of got boring eventually, and I really didn't like that. I wanted to always have a reason to come back and play it. So for this now, to always have a crime to stop and stuff like that, that's going to keep me playing for a very, very, very long time. So yeah, I'm really excited about the random crimes, and Lightspeed seems like such an awesome character, so I'm looking forward to playing as her. Alright, so last but not least, here of course we can see a brand new character reveal, and this is of course Firebird. Now Firebird, again, I had no idea who this character was, so I had to do a bit of research. So she can actually generate heat and flame, she can project heat waves, fire blasts, mentally control any heat or flame in a vicinity, is physically immune to extreme heat and fire, and she can also apparently fly. So she's got a lot of fire-based abilities from what I can see. Now, one cool thing about the fire characters in all LEGO games, at least I've played, is that when you play as, I think it was Human Torch if I remember correctly, if you walked into fire as Human Torch, it wouldn't affect him. So I would imagine that if you walked into fire with Firebird, it probably wouldn't affect her, since she can practically mentally control heat and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, she seems like a pretty cool character, and it's nice to have a character that has a lot of fire abilities, because fire abilities in the LEGO games always turn out awesome. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for this video. I mean, that was of course the LEGO Marvel's Avengers open world trailer analysis. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I've enjoyed making it, because this trailer was absolutely brilliant. This is the best trailer they've brought out for this game yet, because it showed everything that we wanted to see. We wanted to see Quicksilver super speed, we wanted to see Hulk super jump, random crimes, the hub worlds. They showed everything. They did an absolutely brilliant job, and I'm very, very impressed by everything I've seen, and I can't wait to finally play this game. I mean, I know you're probably all like me, wishing that Christmas would just go over so we can just play this game already. It's a shame it isn't coming out at Christmas, but honestly, I'm fine with that, because of course, with these video games nowadays, when they're delayed, that's usually a good thing, because it means they want to add more to the game. They want to make it as best as they possibly can. And with TT Games, if they delay a game, I have no worries whatsoever. They are going to do the best they can possibly can, and the best is always better than the best with them. I mean, they're brilliant at what they do, and I can't wait to finally play this game. And be sure to stay tuned for my next video, which is of course the news update, where I'll talk about so much more than this. I mean, if you thought the trailer analysis was crazy, wait until the news update, because I have so much exciting news to talk about, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Alright guys, so I want to thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for lots more videos real soon, and as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.